There's a version of you already living the life you dream about. Maybe she's confident and abundant and peaceful and aligned. That's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. We'll go deep into the real meaning behind quantum jumping, how to access the full power of your mind, and what it will take to raise your frequency so high that you literally have no choice but to shift to your desired timeline. But if that's true, why don't you feel those things? What's stopping you from living that reality? It just means that you haven't shifted your frequency low enough to perceive them yet. Think of it like this. To make it really simple, the reason why you KOE and shift timelines is, and that's why they remain trapped on a timeline where they can't have everything they want. The egoic identity is ruled by fear, while the higher identity is ruled by love. When you try to become your future self, it's easy to fall into the trap of trying to force your reality into a certain shape, and as long as that gap exists, you won't be able to fully embody the person you want to become. Instead, you'll always feel like you're striving to reach that person, like you're not quite there yet. You see, when you shift your frequency and move into the energy of your higher self, it's easy to doubt yourself. You might wonder if it's really possible to manifest everything you want, if you really deserve to have it all, if you're really worthy of living the life of your dreams. But the truth is, you already know the answers to these questions. You already know that it's possible to manifest anything you want, that you deserve to have it all, that you are worthy of living the life of your dreams. You just have to believe it. And the more you try to force yourself to become someone else, the more you resist the reality that you're already living in. I want you to do 3 things. First, acknowledge the thought and label it as fear-based thinking, and broadcasting that identity so clearly that the quantum field has no choice but to respond. You are a limitless being capable of creating anything you want in your life. And when you identify with that truth, when you start to act from that identity, you become unstoppable. Second, choose to identify with the higher truth that it's possible to manifest everything you want, that you deserve to have it all, that you are worthy of living the life of your dreams. Third, take action from the identity of your higher self. Even if you don't feel like it, even if it feels like you're faking it, just keep moving forward. Keep taking action towards the life you want, and eventually you'll get there. And as we know, resistance is what blocks the flow of energy and prevents us from manifesting our desires. You start to believe that you have to be someone completely different in order to manifest the life you want. Remember, you're already the person you want to be. You just have to start acting from that identity, and the universe will respond accordingly. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. I want you to start acting from the identity of your higher self, the already manifested self. Start acting as though you already have everything you want, even if it doesn't feel like you do. Start acting as though you're the confident, abundant, peaceful, aligned version of yourself, even if you don't feel that way yet. As you start to act from this identity, you'll begin to feel it more and more. You'll begin to believe that it's true, and the more you believe it, the more you'll embody it. And the more you embody it, the more you'll manifest it. This is the easiest and fastest way to shift time. But the truth is, you're already that person. You're already the confident, abundant, peaceful, aligned version of yourself. You just have to remember who you are. The egoic identity is separate and limited, while the higher identity is connected and limitless. The egoic identity is concerned with what's missing, while the higher identity is grateful for what's already present. The egoic identity is constantly striving for more, while the higher identity recognizes that there's already enough. The egoic identity is anxious about the future, while the higher identity is at peace, knowing that everything will work out perfectly. They've literally chosen to identify with lack, and the universe is obligated to respond accordingly. You see, The universe operates on the principle of resonance. Whatever you vibrate in alignment with is what you'll eventually manifest. And the ego self operates on a much lower frequency than the higher self. The egoic self is driven by fear and separation, while the higher self vibrates from a place of love and connection. Because the ego self focuses on lack and limitation, it creates a limited reality that mirrors those beliefs. And because the higher self vibrates from a place of abundance and possibility, it creates an unlimited reality that reflects those beliefs. This is why some people seem to have it all, while others struggle to make ends meet. Some are in perfect relationships, while others are alone. Some are healthy and vibrant, while others are sick and struggling. It all comes down to the identity that you choose to live from, because you continue to identify with the version of yourself that has still stuck in 3D time. Let me explain. You see, according to quantum physics, our thoughts and beliefs create our reality. What we focus on expands, and when we identify with a certain belief about ourselves, we start to see evidence of that belief all around us. For example, if you believe you're poor, then you'll always find yourself in poverty. Or if you believe you're sick, then you'll always be surrounded by sickness. On the flip side, if you identify with abundance and health, then you'll naturally magnetize those things into your life. Your beliefs are what create your personal truth and ultimately your reality. If you and your twin flame were separated at birth and raised in completely different environments, if you've never met your twin before, then both of you would exist as single individuals living out your separate lives. However, the moment you meet and realize that you're soulmates, you both instantly become part of a new energy field where the identity of a couple now exists. And the interesting thing is that this new energy field actually causes both of your realities to collapse and reform around the identity of a couple. It's as if you were both living on parallel timelines that only merged once you came together and solidified your identity as a couple. This is what it means to jump a timeline. And the good news is that you can do this whenever you want, as many times as you want. All it takes is a conscious decision to change your identity. The answer is simple. Your frequency. The good news is that shifting your frequency is easy, but it requires an intentional effort to break free from the patterns that have been holding you back. What we talk about in this video is incredibly important, because if you don't understand these concepts, you'll never be able to shift timelines successfully. So make sure you watch all the way through, and do you want to try to skip to the end? In the New Age community, quantum jumping simply refers to the ability to shift your energy well. Every time you choose to identify with a certain thought, emotion, or belief, you reinforce that identity for yourself and you solidify your position on a particular timeline. Every timeline has its own unique frequency. And the more you vibrate in alignment with one timeline, the more you'll naturally begin to attract the people, places, and things that are found on that timeline. Your timeline represents your unique energetic signature in the universe, kind of like your fingerprint or DNA. And the most powerful way to shift timelines is by changing your identity. By identifying with the person you want to become, you're essentially jumping to a different timeline where that identity is already established. And the more you believe in that identity, the faster you'll manifest the physical reality that matches it, and vibration at will. Moving from lower frequencies like fear and anxiety and anger to higher frequencies like love, peace, and joy. You can also think of quantum jumping as a way to shift your perception of time. Going from the linear sequential 3D time that we're most familiar with, to a more timeless state of being where everything is happening all at once. In other words, quantum jumping is the ability to shift your awareness from the past into the future, or from the future into the past. When you jump from one timeline to another, you literally change the way you experience the flow of time. because I promise there will be something here that will shift your perspective and move you forward. So let's get started. First off, I need to explain what quantum jumping really means, because the term itself has become very So how does this relate to the different versions of yourself that exist across multiple times? You see, even though you might not feel like your dreams are coming true right now, it doesn't mean that they're not already a part of your reality. And this brings us to the first mistake that's blocking your timeline shift. But here's the problem. Most people identify with their ego's self, the limited personality self that's ruled by fear and desire. If you want to shift to a higher timeline where you have everything you could ever want, then you need to drop the egoic identity of lack and step into the higher identity of abundance. And this leads us to the second mistake that keeps people stuck: trying to become your future self. When you decide to try to become your future self, you create a gap between your current identity and the person you want to be. So instead of trying to become your future self, I want you to do the opposite. And this brings us to the third mistake that keeps people stuck: not trusting the process. When you find yourself doubting the process, when you catch yourself thinking that it is too good to be true, or that it won't work for you, this isn't about wishing, it's not about hoping, it's about remembering who you truly are. I hope this video was helpful and that it gave you some clarity on the process of quantum jumping.